Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with Wiki Comic Roundup. As mentioned previously, yes, this is a few days late. I I took a day. I took a couple days for myself. Nothing bad. Just in fact, actually, in all honesty, a couple of really good days. So every now and again, one needs that. Anyway, we've already done this week's X-Men books, Spider-Man books, and Star Wars books. So moving on to this week's Heroes Reborn, Avengers, and a Boom Studios title. Kicking things off, we've got Heroes Reborn, Night-Gwen. So, you may recall Gwen Stacy popped up in in last week's Marvel Double Action as an ally of Nighthawk and Falcon. So, this is a more current version of Gwen. Gwen works at Ravencroft Asylum. However, before we get to that, man is brutally killed at his home in Washington, D.C. by a shadowy assailant. But as the issue begins, Gwen is doing the intake paperwork for Bullseye and thinking back on why she's working at Ravencroft. Her mother did, and her mother she saw her mother actually help someone, and so she said, okay, that's what I want to do. But after she gets off of her shift, she goes to have dinner with her friend Misty Knight, whom we saw last in American Nights. Misty is none too happy about the fact that Nighthawk and Nightbird were the ones who caught Bullseye rather than her, but at least he is getting the help he needs. But however, as they're about to order dessert, Misty gets a call. It is also heavily, I will admit, it is at least somewhat hinted that this is a date. Which, okay, that's cool. But Nightbird has her own bird cave of sorts, which bears a striking resemblance, in all on it, which does have some similarities to Oracle's clock tower in the Batman books, which I think is a very nice touch because Nightbird is supposed to kind of be a riff on Batgirl. So yeah, this is basically Gwen Stacy as Batgirl to Nighthawk's Batman. But turns out our victim from earlier is a retired officer from the NYPD, Nick Manolis, recruited into Gwen's father's unit by her father. He was there for when Captain Stacy died. But Gwen notices some strange markings on one of the windows. So she starts asking questions, starting with people that would profit from Manolis' passing. Hammerhead, Black Mariah, Mr. Negative, Crooked Cop. Then she also researches the symbol, as it's popped up at a handful of other crime scenes. There were some fibers, which were found in one of the scenes as well, which there's something familiar, and she realizes what it is, leading to a flashback to her dealings with Professor Miles Warren, who was fired, and her then boyfriend, her friend Flash Thompson, threatened him and became obsessed. Was locked away in Ravencroft, broke out, and has never been seen since. And she realizes all the victims were people that she's interacted with. So she goes to the old CSU library where she encounters the Jackal. They fight, but she notices something's different. Jackal's used to fight like an animal. Now there's strategy. He knows what he's doing. So she continues her fight. Don't unmask the Jackal to reveal it's not Miles Warren. It's Flash Thompson. Explain that Flash figured out she was Nightbird, tracked down Warren, killed him, and but she dropped him off with evidence in front of the DC PD, 616th precinct, no less. And she does the intake paperwork for him at Ravencroft. Later, she meets up with Misty, and the two have ice cream and decided go out, just get on the road and drive together. Good book. I keep saying it. These Heroes Reborn is better than it did right to be, and all these one shots have been so perfect at fleshing out the universe without feeling like they're ham-fisted in. Like, oh yeah, we got to. No. Everything feels like it fits. It feels like if you were just reading the Heroes Reborn miniseries, like, okay, that's good. You have the whole story. With this, it actually does feel like you're seeing a larger picture with everything. From seeing just other unrelated characters unrelated to the Avengers, how they turned out in this new reality. But anyway, yeah. Next up, we've got Squadron Savage, also a Heroes Reborn title. The Squadron Savage is basically the Black Ops Squadron Supreme team. Elektra, Frank Castle, Cloak, Crossbones, and Murder Hornet. Turns out that Crossbones was recruited from Crossbones and Murder Hornet were both recruited elsewhere, but they're going to take out. They've got a target to take out, and the Squadron can't do it. So yeah, basically they do the jobs the Squadron can't do for whatever reason. Turns out Cloak's whole shtick is he's trying to track down the people who killed Dagger. The villain in question being Mink, Haywire, Foxfire, Thermite, and Moonglow. But yeah, they get in. They deal with the defenses, and then they deal with the villains. Though the villains also deal with them. Turns out the Moonglow, however, is actually Dagger. And in fact, most of the members of the Squadron Savage have all had their memories messed around with. Crossbones is killed in action. When Frank realizes what's been done to him, he's injured. Murder Hornet's injured, and the true villain and the backer of the argument villains reveals himself to be Kang the Conqueror. So he's trying to fix everything. But turns out Elektra had an ace up her sleeve. The Winter Soldier hiding hiding within Cloak. Kang and the soldier end up killing each other, but Kang is taken out. A framing device throughout the issue has been a chess game between Elektra and an unseen figure, who is revealed to be none other than Vice President Wilson Fisk. And turns out her memories are also get tampered with. But looks like the new Squadron Sab is going to consist of Cloak, Moonglow, Murder Hornet, Foxfire, and I think that's Foxfire. Yeah, and Elektra. Oh, I was wrong. He's not Vice President. He's Secretary of Defense. I must have misread that initially. But yeah, Secretary of Defense Wilson Fisk. Formerly crime boss Wilson Fisk. But that is where the issue ends. Once again, I mean, these are just so really good. This was. It was kind of neat seeing that their jobs are too much for even the Squadron Supreme to handle, as they tend to be a bit on the brutal side of things. But yeah, I really wasn't sure. Reading the solicit for that, I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it, because I mean, they didn't really spell out that they're the Black Ops division of the Squadron. But yeah, very fun stuff, very good stuff. Moving on to our next one, we've got Iron Man number 9. The simple version here is we get a retelling of Korvac's origin while he and his henchmen are in space. Start his origin in the 30th century, where he betrayed humanity to the Badoon, and he was treated like a slave. He stepped away from his console once and ended up having his body grafted to his console, with the lower half of his body severed. On a distant planet, however, they're looking for something. Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch. Turns out that Korvac's current body and Jim Hammond's body share some. Basically, they're in a mechanical sense brothers. But Korvac thinks he came to make him Adam again. So the repairs are done to him, and he sees everything that he sees basically everything that Korvac knows, including his fight with the Avengers, where he actually killed a bunch of them, which does not make Hammond happy, and so he's got a control disc, but a control disc is placed upon him, however. Which, sadly, is not what Korvac was hoping for. He wanted an ally, a brother, not just a weapon. And that is where the issue ends. Neat stuff. It's cool actually getting to see, the current version of Korvac's origin, complete with the time travel, his previous dealings with the Avengers and whatnot. So yeah, and Iron Man himself will actually be popping up in the next issue, where he was left stranded on an alien world 2 issues ago, if I remember correctly. Alright, moving on to our next book, and the final book for the video, Magic the Gathering number 3. And yes, this is the Planeswalker variant. This month it's blue Planeswalkers, so we get Jace. Where we left off, one, it was clear that Tezzeret was involved in what's going on. Moves have been made against the 3 Planeswalker. Assassination attempts have been made up on the 3 Planeswalker guild heads. Kaya of the Orzhov Syndicate, Raul Zarek of the Izzet, and Vraska of the Golgari. There had been some strange seismic readings detected by the Izzet around the same time, but they didn't seem to fit what Ral already knew. But they're also trying to get information. They've been tasked to actually go into the go to talk to the Simic, who seem to be involved. We see an assassin going through various points, meeting with various people, and recruiting them, seemingly, as our three planeswalkers make their way through the Underdark, or the underneath of Ravnica. We see attacks on members of the Azorius, and yeah, they run into some members of the Rakdos, and some dead bodies are assigned with the Dimir Signet. A worm is discovered. Turns out there are additional bodies throughout the city that have been signed with the Dimir Sigil, members of various other guilds. But Ral remembers the seismic disturbances, and since, he was reminded by the rumblings of the worm, explaining that the Izzet League's instruments detected a greater level of seismic disturbances from the day of the attacks than just 3 explosions would have caused. Ral thought an error. But as they make their way through closer and closer to the Dimir stronghold and are finding none of the Dimir defenses in place, Ral forms a hypothesis. There weren't 3 attacks that day, but rather 4, which is confirmed as they arrive at Duskmantle, the guild hall of House Dimir, or rather, what's left of it. And that is where the issue ends. Honest, the Magic title is also trudging along really nicely. Again, I am still surprised that we're getting an original story, not just adaptations of, the stories for the various sets. I wouldn't mind seeing the stories from other sets referenced, but and we have actually. But and it should be interesting. It does look like from the next issue tease we're getting that Tezzeret will be revealing himself next issue, so we'll be getting some of that then. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, PayPal account in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.